Hey, everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. Welcome to the Joy Reid Show. We are, as you could tell, going a little early. We are exactly 1 hour earlier than we normally would be doing. That is because we have a special guest that we really wanted to get on who has a bit of a time crunch. So we wanted to make sure that we got him on. Mehdi Hasan is coming on. I'm very excited to finally get Medhi on the show from, of course, Zateo News. He's going to come on. He's going to talk with us about all of this stuff that's going on with the Charlie Kirk situation. So if you are a 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time person, don't worry. No worries. We're going to go over, so you can always just rewind. You can always check it out. But we wanted to make sure that we got a chance to talk to Medhi. We're also going to be talking with Michael Harriot of Contraband Camp. Very important. Somebody that I'm really looking forward to talking also about all of the madness that's going on, because what we've seen in the last 33 some odd plus hours, I think, has been not the finest hour of the mainstream media, not their finest hour. And so we want to make sure that we talk about it so that we can sort of, level set just a little bit on what we're happening. So, and of course, what I'm talking about is, of course, the assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. That was some 33 some odd hours ago. The alleged shooter has now been caught. We're going to show you his mugshot. Jason's going to throw that up. That is Beezer. There he is. His name is Tyler Robinson. He's 22 years old. He turned himself in after admitting to his dad, who apparently is in law enforcement, that he is indeed the one who shot Kirk during the campus event. According to reports, he peacefully surrendered to authorities. That's according to the New York Times, after his family convinced him to do the right thing and reached out to a friend of the family and reached out to a youth pastor or something, and they convinced him to turn himself in, and he did that. So now he's been arrested. Now, I've been asked for my opinion on all of this, given that Charlie Kirk had in the recent past had some rather unpleasant things to say about moi. Namely, that Ketanji Brown Jackson, Michelle Obama, and I, quote, stole a white person's slot at Harvard, and that we as Black women, quote, lacked the brain processing capacity to be taken even somewhat seriously. That was what he said. And I suppose he felt that Justice Jackson also stole a white person's rightful place on the Supreme Court because of affirmative action, but Clarence Thomas didn't. It's very complicated. But you know what? That doesn't mean that I was rooting for him to die. I mean, I sure as hell don't want to live in a country and in a world where people get killed because they insult people, even if they insult me or say things that I don't like. I mean, a lot of us are out here saying that things that people don't like. And a lot of us have felt how ugly this country has become as a result. I mean, the threats are real. They're crazy. We feel them. I feel them. I've gotten them. And this guy was 31 years old. That is a year older than Jason and my oldest child. It is terrible that his parents have to bury their son. No parent should have to bury their son. He was somebody's husband. He was somebody's father. He has 2 little kids. Just as a human being, let alone as a person of faith, I cannot not feel awful. I have to feel awful about this happening. I mean, if we're supposed to be a civilized society, we're supposed to have gotten beyond lynching, but apparently not. After all, lynching is an American tradition, as is gun violence. The United States happens to be the most violent country in the world that's not engaged currently in a war. Just pull up that stat there. 357 mass shootings just in 2025 alone. 357 mass shootings. 6,889 mass shootings since 2013, since January 2013. How many days since a mass shooting? One. I mean, I personally feel gutted that one additional mass shooting just in the last day was a shooting in Colorado. It happened the exact same day, which was the anniversary of 9/11. And the shooter, a teenager, apparently had some extreme views that he posted online. We're going to show you a picture of him, young white teenager who took his own life after shooting up his school. There he is. That's the mass shooter. So you've seen the mass shooter in Utah. You've seen the mass shooter here. And apparently he went to Evergreen High School in Colorado, which I actually have heard of. I remember Evergreen High School. Apparently he held some very extreme views, shot at other students, and then took his own life. So another mass shooting, literally, same day as the Charlie Kirk shooting, did not get the same attention. The mainstream media didn't tell you all about that, but both of those 2 shootings happened on the same day. Would also really love to know why, when a white shooter shot a white conservative right-winger, and what that had to do with Black people. And why the right did this weird reflex that they always do of calling in bomb threats to HBCUs. Really, MAGA? So a white shooter kills a white conservative and HBCUs get the bomb threats? Why? I'm really not sure why that is. But they did. Multiple HBCUs facing bomb threats yesterday after the shooting of Charlie Kirk. And I have no idea what that has to do with HBCUs. You also saw the Naval Academy have to go in lockdown, bomb threats there. There we go. Hampton University received notice. Virginia State University, Bethune-Cookman University, Southern University, and Alabama State University. All of them went on lockdown after receiving bomb threats following the assassination in Utah of Charlie Kirk. What that had to do with Black people and Black colleges, I couldn't tell you. But it also is the most American thing in the world that is what happened. And I also have to tell you guys that I also, frankly, object to the way that this whole tragedy is being covered by my profession, by the mainstream media. Well, my old profession at this point, mainstream media. Because based on the coverage that many of you have seen, you would think that this guy was just some ordinary conservative thinker and activist who loved to debate college kids and invite real dialogue. And you'd be hard-pressed to actually know much more about him other than that he was a young firebrand and a Christian family man with a wife and children. The media has decided that you are not mature enough to be horrified that this man was murdered in cold blood in front of thousands of college kids and to know what it is that made him a polarizing figure in the first place. The mainstream media apparently believes that you are not mature enough to understand, that you're not allowed to know that Charlie Kirk said the Civil Rights Act of '64 was a mistake because it spawned a generation of unfair fixes like affirmative action and DEI. That he said that Jews have been funding anti-white policies, and that he agreed on that with white South African Elon Musk, and seemed to agree that immigration is a setup for white replacement. You're apparently not mature enough to feel horrified by his murder and also know that he said those things. That he said that because of the existence of DEI, that if he saw a Black airline pilot, he would automatically question their qualifications, wonder whether they were qualified to fly. You're not allowed to know that he mocked the late Sheila Jackson Lee, even used a fake black scent to make fun of her. That he mocked the Juneteenth holiday and said MLK was a bad person who did not deserve a holiday. He mocked George Floyd's death. He said he believed that empathy is a terrible made-up concept. He basically said women should give up any actual ambitions besides getting married and having lots of kids. He put down Muslims. He put down trans people. He said Mehdi Hasan, who's coming on the show in a short time, should be deported over a column that he didn't like. He said that Blacks were better off during the 1940s, during segregation. He refused to accept that trans people even exist. And his organization, Turning Point USA, created a watch list to track the thoughts and statements of professors who he disagreed with. He also said mass shootings are a reasonable price to pay for us to have the Second Amendment. All of that in the name of Christianity. And it is reasonable to get angry about those things and to use a Charlie Kirkism to vigorously prove him wrong. But killing, I mean, damn, that's too much. But that said, apparently, you getting to know the things that I just said is also too much. It's too divisive. The people who run the media now are also just assuming that everybody actually knows who Charlie Kirk even was. I mean, media people clearly did. Young conservatives clearly did. Podcast people clearly did. And many in the media clearly admired him and probably agreed with him on a lot of stuff, especially the anti-DEI stuff that a lot of them are pushing and that Trump is mandating, which is why the new bosses are very clearly steering the media to the right and saying that nothing can be said about Charlie Kirk other than that he was a great, wonderful young family man. Nothing else can be said. At my old haunt, NBC Universal at Ms. now, contributor Matt Dowd, who, by the way, is a conservative. He's a conservative from the old school. He got fired yesterday. He got fired for comments that he made during live coverage of the shooting. Now, a lot of people aren't going to replay what he said, but I just want you to get to hear for yourself what he said. Here is Matt Dowd.
But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
So that was Newsbusters who put that up, because Newsbusters is there to like police the speech of the left. Matt Dowd is not of the left. And yet MSNBC put out a statement denouncing Matt before they fired him, with network president Rebecca Cutler calling his comments inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable, and apologizing on his behalf, also making him apologize. And she added in her statement that there's no place for violence in America, political or otherwise, which everyone agrees with. And I think Matt Dowd clearly agrees with that. I mean, did you hear Matt Dowd call for violence, political or otherwise? I did not. He was literally just talking about Charlie Kirk's own rhetoric. And now I also want to just let you hear Charlie Kirk in his own words, because again, I'm not presuming that you all know who Charlie Kirk was or that you knew of it before yesterday or before, the other day. So just so that you can hear it for yourself, which you can find on social media easily, but not so much on mainstream media, let me play a little bit of Charlie Kirk in his own words.
I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. The Civil Rights Act was a mistake.
More cops should be around your neighborhood. Why do blacks have a broken family? White person were to come up and say, black America really needs to get its act together and stop sleeping around all the time, and it needs to actually have enough.
Why would you?
Because it's true. What percentage of young blacks have both a mom and a dad raising them? Of course we pander to blacks. They're in every TV commercial.
And they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action?
Things got worse since the Civil Rights Act. More violent, less fathers around, poorer.
Be kissing the ground with gratitude, because you're right. You are not in Africa, and you should be thankful you're not in Africa. Certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. It's now become a racial complaining day. BLM, and remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder. America is poorer today than before we tried to start to help them.
Black women married the government.
All right, joining me now is Mehdi Hasan, my friend from Zateo News, which you all should be subscribing to. Mehdi, thank you so much for being here. I just want to get your thoughts on the way the media has handled this situation.
Horribly badly, in so many ways. But of course, the main way is the way you just very eloquently explained in your monologue, which is the idea that we should not be told who Charlie Kirk is or what he said and stood for because he was brutally murdered, right? You can be brutally murdered and be an innocent victim of a murder, but also have very horrible views. I was thinking about this for the last couple of days, trying to think of an analogy. It's not the best. It's the only one I can come up with. Maybe you can come up with a better one, Joy. If Louis Farrakhan was killed, assassinated, how would we cover his death? Would we say he was a wonderful man of faith? Because he's a man of faith, whether you like him or not. Would we say he was a great family man? Because he's a family man, whether you like it or not. Or would we say he expressed very horrific views about Jews and other minorities over the years, as well as white people? Like, what would the mainstream, I think we need the mainstream media, what would they say? We all know what they say. It's a perfectly legitimate thing to do. When public, there's something that annoys me in general, nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. When public figures die, you can't just go, don't speak ill of the dead. No, they're public figures. When I die, I expect people to go through my record and say, he said good things, bad things. He did good things, bad things. I liked him for this. I didn't like him for that. That's what obits are for. That's what profile pieces are for. This is not, obviously we don't want to make, obviously his family are off limits. Obviously we want to give condolences. What his wife and kids must be going through now. Horrific. I can't imagine what it's like for two children to lose their father and to have their father murdered on camera for the rest of their lives. Horrific. Horrific. And I hope they punish severely whoever did it. But the idea that therefore means we can't say anything about Charlie Kirk's views. Charlie Kirk was proud of his views. He went around the country. He literally died expressing his views.
Yes.
Right? They're calling him a free speech martyr. So why can't we talk about his speech? That's insane. I just find this so odd. It happens all the time. Like a president or a congressman or someone that, no, they were public figures. They have a public record and we should be able, otherwise it's just hagiography. It's not journalism.
And the other piece of it is that the thing that is not being reported is at the same time that this was happening, Black, HBCUs were getting death threats, and the media was doing this both sides. Both sides have lots of violence. I don't think that those HBCUs were being threatened by the left. We can just go back through all of the recent mass shootings. It's the right, it's the right, it's the right. You had a member of Congress, Nancy Mace, well, this person was probably trans. Start blaming trans people. No, it was a white male, just like lots and lots of shootings. So we couldn't even say that.
Nancy Mace will apologize immediately. I'm confident that she'll put out a strong public apology any minute now, as will Laura Lua and the rest. Look, I haven't had the energy Friday evening to get back into that debate that we've been having 48 hours. I was on the BBC yesterday. This bullshit that the right have pushed now, that all the political violence comes from the left. Don Jr. said today, if you think it's a both sides issue, you shouldn't be allowed on TV in America. The stats are very clear. ADL, not a group I'm a fan of, Center for Extremism, the ADL, crunched the numbers. Every single extremist-related murder between 2022 and 2024, 3 years straight, was carried out by right-wing actors, 0 by left-wing actors. In fact, this summer, we saw a lawmaker in Minnesota, Speaker Emerita of the Minnesota House, killed with her husband. Another 2 people were shot, another lawmaker as well. Like, we keep going. You and I could come up with examples all night long. I've got a memory long enough to remember 2018 when Cesar Sayoc, Trump supporter, sent pipe bombs to Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, to the very top of the Democratic Party, trying to kill them. Drove around with a truck covered in Trump photos and Fox images. So look, I just, that debate, unfortunately, they're in their little bubble. They actually do believe, I think a lot of people do believe it's just the left. Some of them are grifters. Some of them have brainwashed themselves into believing this shit. But to come back, but we can't do anything about them, George. We can talk about the liberal media where you and I used to work, places like MSNBC, New York Times, horrific coverage. I mean, Ezra Klein writing a piece. Ezra, I know well, I'm friendly with Ezra, but that piece, and a lot of people have called him out for this piece, saying that he debated in the right way. He employed persuasion. Charlie Kirk, as you mentioned, when I did a COVID monologue on MSNBC in 2023, I think it was, his response was to do his own monologue saying, who is this guy? He should be, get him out of here. He should get rid of his visa. I'm a US citizen. Get him out of the country. That's free speech. Your response to me saying I don't like, I want to defend COVID lockdowns. I thought the answer is better speech. Why didn't he come back with data on why COVID lockdowns are bad? No, he said, get me out of the country. Right now, across social media, conservatives are saying that any teacher who said anything about Kirk we don't like should be fired in Florida. Any soldier should be investigated. In the UK, Joy, forget the US, in the UK, the former Conservative Prime Minister is saying that a student at Oxford who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, I have no idea if that's true or not, should be expelled from Oxford University, should be thrown out of the university because of a joke about Charlie Kirk. I thought, what happened to Je suis Charlie? What happened to the right to offend? I'm Muslim. I was told for years the West is all about free speech. You got to allow people making fun of your prophet. That's what free speech is all about, being offensive. Oh, right. Except when it's really offensive to someone you don't like. I personally don't think you should make jokes about dead people. But if other people do, the First Amendment protects them. That's what I was told. So the hypocrisy and our media coverage, Comcast that owns NBC. I don't even know if it still owns MSNBC. I don't know what the status is.
Ms. Now. We're calling it Ms. Now.
But Comcast, Brian Roberts, the chairman of Comcast, who is a Democratic Party donor, I believe, sent out an email to all the staff. 404 Media had the email in which and I just want to read to your viewers.
We have it up. We're going to put it up while you read it. Please read it. Yes, we have it.
This is the key line. He calls Charlie Kirk an advocate for open debate whose faith was important to him. Let's just be clear. Charlie Kirk said that I should be deported and that you don't have the brain processing power, Joy, to have your job. We were both MSNBC hosts when he made those comments.
True.
Interesting that Comcast is eulogizing a person who was not interested in an open debate with you and I, but wanted me deported and you racially abused. So this is absurd. Again, let me add it. I have to say this because I ended up on Sean Hannity's show last night, a clip of me in Alabama. So now I have to do this after every answer. Of course, nobody should be killed for their horrific views. Charlie Kirk's murder was brutal, horrific, inexcusable. Our hearts are saddened for his family. Genuinely, I can't imagine what it's like for 2 kids. By the way, those of us who care about the people of Gaza, and Charlie didn't give a damn about the people of Gaza. He said there's no such place as Palestine. Our hearts bleed for the children of Gaza who are being orphaned all the time. So yes, I'm very, 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 very proud to say that I'm a human being who cares about Charlie Kirk's kids, innocent kids who've lost their dad. And I also care about Palestinian kids who've lost their parents. The difference is some conservatives only care about one group of kids. I like to care about all kids who've lost their parents, who are all innocent. And you went through his views. I'm so glad you did. At Zeteo, we just put out 17 quotes from Charlie Kirk. We didn't add any commentary. We didn't add any intro. We just said, here he is in his own words. And somebody on Twitter said, oh, you didn't provide any context. I'm like, okay, so if we add any words, you'll say I'm spinning it, I'm editorializing. If we just give you his words, you say, oh, there's no context. Hence I win tells you this. It's his words. He was proud of his words. And that's how we should remember him by his words.
It is what he wanted to be. It's what he put out. It's what he wanted. I am running out of time with you. If you have 1 minute, and you're very good at doing 1 minute.
No, I've got 5 minutes, Joy.
5 minutes. Oh, good. Okay, good. Now I'm going to take full advantage of it because at the same time that this is happening, we're seeing the mainstream media fully taken over by the right. They're either cosplaying that they're over by the right, they're going to appease the right, or they're just letting it go. I want to talk about CBS News, the Tiffany Network, the Edward R. Murrow Network, the network that gave us some of the greatest journalism of our lifetimes, is now the newsroom is going to be run by Bari Weiss. Tell us who she is. I don't want to presume that my audience all knows who she is, but if Walter Cronkite were alive today and working for CBS News, he'd be reporting to her. Who is she?
I said I had 5 minutes, not 5 hours, Joy. Bari Weiss is the editor and founder of The Free Press, which is a anti-woke, center-right, very pro-Israel Substack newsletter, media company. It's done very well for itself since Elon Musk gave her part of the Twitter files to give her a little boost with her new endeavor. She needed a new endeavor because she very loudly quit the New York Times, claiming it was too woke and she was being censored and all these kids were running the New York Times into the ground. A lot of billionaires like Bari Weiss, and one of them is a guy called David Ellison, son of Larry Ellison, second richest man in America, Oracle boss, Donald Trump donor, guy who was an election denier and involved in some of the discussions about Donald Trump's plan to stay in office in 2020. That's who David is, and super pro-Israel guy, David Ellison, super pro-Israel. And of course, he is buying the Free Press apparently for 200 million or 150 million, who knows, completely overpriced. And he's buying CBS News, and he wants to put Bari Weiss with CBS News, even though he told the entire media, I'm buying CBS News to unpoliticize it. There will be no politicizing of the news. Well, Bari Weiss is very political, but it's not just Bari Weiss. A guy called Kenneth Weinstein, who's a president of the Hudson Institute, is a Trump donor, Trump nominated to be an ambassador in the first term. He's going to be the ombudsman for CBS News. Just for people who don't know, the ombudsman is the person who checks that everything's going well, makes sure the readers are happy, checks that editorial standards are being followed, facts and figures are being put on screen. It's going to be a Trump apparatchik doing that for CBS right now. And it's so funny, Joey, whether it's big tech, whether it's the mainstream media, every accusation is a confession. All the things they thought liberals were doing, but weren't, they're doing now they're in power. They thought that Jack Dorsey was some crazy leftist supporting the Democratic Party. Then we got Elon Musk, who literally used Twitter as a vehicle for the Republican Party. They thought that liberal media is just some Democratic mouthpiece, but you and I both know that NBC News could never get away with making the ombudsman a Joe Biden donor with no experience in media. But they're doing it now in reverse. So every accusation is a confession with the right. And it's very worrying what's happening with Bari Weiss. I mean, already CBS News and every other mainstream media outlet is super pro-Israel. Do we really need it to become even more pro-Israel? There's not enough pro-Israel opinion in American news. And she has no experience, Paul. I mean, I feel bad for some of the senior CBS executives who spent decades in that industry, won all sorts of awards for 60 Minutes, etc. Although half the 60 Minutes top team already quit in protest.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have to answer to Bari Weiss?
It is a strange world in which we're living. And the sort of the claim is that they want to sort of take the audience younger, but they're assuming all of the younger audience is far right wing. And so that is who they need to appease. They forget that there is a whole other audience out there that is actually a majoritarian audience that is sympathetic to the Palestinians. First time in my lifetime that that's been the case, but it is the case. This whole audience is being left to the side. And to your point, I mean, Zateo News is a great, the success of Zateo News actually is huge proof of it. But so then what do you think happens if the mainstream media is all going to take the knee, not just to Trump, but to Bibi Netanyahu, to be blunt? And that's what's going to be on mainstream media. What is the business case for that? I mean, I don't understand.
That's such a great question, Joy. There is no business case for it. This is purely ideological. First person, so Wall Street Journal this week reports that David Ellison and his dad are now planning to buy Warner Brothers. Therefore, they will have control of CNN if that deal goes through. So they will have CNN and CBS News. The first person to text me that story was Zateo contributor Jason Stanley, who you know very well, left Yale, moved to Canada, expert on fascism. And the reason he texted me because he knew I would understand immediately the fascism reference here, which is go to India. Modi's billionaire friends bought out all of the TV industry. There's no longer anything other than pro-Modi news in India. Go to Hungary. Orban's rich friends bought out the media. It is all pro-Orban. Go to Turkey. Erdogan's rich friends bought out all the TV news channels. It's very hard to go against Erdogan on TV news. This is the playbook. There is this authoritarian global playbook. And this is what's happening with Donald Trump. You don't need tanks or gangs of rioters. You have your rich friends simply buy up everything. And then it's not a business case. CNN, I mean, Free Press is not worth $150 million. No serious person thinks that. It makes $15 million of revenue a year. right? There's no scenario it's worth 10 times its annual revenue. The reason he's paying that money is to say it's not about business. It is about ideology. It is about making sure that people are saying the right thing that the billionaires and Netanyahu and Trump want to hear, that they get rewarded. And it is about making sure that there is no dissent within our media as we go down this fascistic path further and further.
And there you have it. Mehdi Hasan, thank you very much. I'm so glad that you're there. Zateo News is where you can find Mehdi. And I highly suggest that you subscribe to it. There's not going to be much left out here other than independent media if you want to get the truth and the facts. You will not get much of that from mainstream media. I'm sad to say I really did love working at MSNBC, but it is not, none of this is going to be the same. It's all going to change and not in the direction of progressives. Thank you very much, Mehdi. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you for making the time. Thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Share this this channel. Make sure that everybody subscribe to the YouTube channel. 70% of people are lurking, watching these shows and not subscribing. Why would you do that? So make sure that you like, subscribe, and throw some comments in. Thank you all for joining the Joy Reid Show. See you on the next one. And goodbye for now.